Hello, hello! One of my all-time favorite cosmetic products over the past several years has been the iconic Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is a very unique and stunningly gorgeous cream liquid primer slash highlighter hybrid. Absolutely perfect on my 62-year-old mature dry skin, and you can see it is well used and loved. But it is very, very expensive at $44. So over the past several years, I have tried literally every single dupe that has come along, and so far nothing has come close. But I haven't given up, and today we are going to put the latest viral dupe, the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter, to the test. I will do side-by-side swatches, I will do side-by-side application, and we shall see. For me, in order for a product to be considered a dupe, they need to share many qualities. So today we are going to look at shade, consistency, texture, application, finish, function, not to mention packaging. So we have a lot to take into consideration, so let's compare. The Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter comes in 12 shades and the full size is $44. It also comes in a mini for $15. You know how much I love minis. I have the Charlotte in the shade 3 light medium and the shade 2 fair. e.l.f. on the other hand comes in 8 shades for $14, so a huge price difference. I picked up the corresponding shades, shade 3 light medium and shade 2 fair light. I will say e.l.f. is not shy about overtly copying Charlotte Tilbury. Everything from the claims to the packaging. You can see how similar the packaging is, not only in size, shape, they both come in a glass bottle, they both have doe foot applicator, and e.l.f.'s claims are virtually identical to Charlotte Tilbury. Let me read from the e.l.f. website. Achieve a flawless glow with the only filter you will ever need. This innovative complexion booster, I'm not sure about the word innovative since they are basically copying Charlotte Tilbury, but okay. This innovative complexion booster and skincare makeup hybrid is infused with skin-loving squalane and hyaluronic acid that work to enhance the overall look of the skin while rendering a soft, focused, effortless radiance. Wear on its own, under or over makeup, mix it in with your favorite foundation for a fresh, dewy finish, or use as a highlighter to illuminate the high points of your face. Essentially all the exact same ways that we are using Charlotte Tilbury. Here is Charlotte Tilbury shade 3 not blended in compared to e.l.f. shade 3 not blended in. Here is Charlotte Tilbury shade 3 blended, e.l.f. shade 3 blended. I think you can see that the e.l.f. is decidedly a little bit deeper in tone, as well as quite a bit warmer in tone. It leans much more warm, peachy, even a little bit orange. Here is the Charlotte Tilbury shade 2, e.l.f. shade 2. Here is the Charlotte shade 2 blended in, e.l.f. shade 2 blended in. Same thing with shade 2. I think you can see the e.l.f. is a little deeper and a little bit warmer. So those are the shade comparisons. So we are going to start by applying both products on bare skin, which is one of the ways that these products can be used. Alone on bare skin, just to give a little bit of a perfected glow. So I am going to put the e.l.f. on the left. e.l.f. on the left. And as I said earlier, it has a fairly large doe foot applicator, and this is shade 3. And I am going to apply it literally all over the face. I think you can see this is pretty warm on me, and I am generally more of a cool toned neutral. So right off the bat, I'm not super crazy about the color, the shade. Okay, I think that is blended in very nicely. What do we think? Pretty darn glowy. Here's the e.l.f. and here is my bare skin. You know, this product did have some thickness to it. It felt a little bit more like a cream than an actual liquid, and it definitely has some pigmentation and coverage. Look at my lips. You can see it did cover a little bit. So it feels really moisturizing. It blended pretty easily. Let me make sure I'm blended. Actually, I see a couple of little streaks there that I need to work on. All right, e.l.f. on one side, bare skin on the other side. Let's get some Charlotte on this side. Before I apply the Charlotte, let me just show you the difference in the doe foot applicator. You can see the e.l.f. is quite a bit larger than the Charlotte Tilbury, but to me that is not any kind of an issue. So let's apply the Charlotte Tilbury shade 3 on the right side of my face. And again, we will blend with fingers. Okay, right off the bat, the Charlotte Tilbury feels a little bit less creamy, a little bit less thick than the e.l.f. So the e.l.f. is definitely thicker and creamier. The e.l.f. has more pigment, but I believe the Charlotte Tilbury has a little bit more radiance. I don't know if you're going to see the difference on camera, but in person, the Charlotte side looks a little bit glowier than the e.l.f. side, and I do think the shade 3 does work a little bit better for my cool, neutral, light medium skin. e.l.f. side, Charlotte side. Now, I have never used the Charlotte as a standalone skin tint to give me all over radiance. That's not how I use these products, but I wanted you to see how they look on bare skin for comparison. One of the really popular ways to use these products is as a primer under foundation. The idea being that the primer will add radiance that will peek through on the foundation. So let's apply some foundation and see how the two sides compare. Today I am going to use my Sephora Collection Best Skin Ever. Because this foundation, it's just a really medium coverage neutral foundation. I am blending 2 shades. I will list the shades in the description box below. And this is a natural satin finish. It's not overly radiant or dewy. It's not overly matte. And so let's see how this Sephora Best Skin Ever applies over the e.l.f. Actually, I'm going to dot it all over my face before I start blending. Let's get the e.l.f. side blended in. I'm going to start out with my fingers. And finish my blend with my e.l.f. sponge. It is moistened. And cleaning my fingers off, and we will get the Charlotte Tilbury side blended. And using the clean side of the sponge, okay, foundation is on and blended. So here is the foundation using the e.l.f. as a primer and the Charlotte Tilbury as a primer. You know, as far as how the application of foundation felt over these two primers, very, very similar. Let me see if I see any difference in tint or radiance. You know, it's really hard for me to see any difference in the finish of the foundation. They both did add some lovely radiance to the finish. Like I said, the Sephora foundation is really a satin finish, and I think we did get a little bit of glow on both sides, and I don't think that peachy warm tint from the e.l.f. showed through on this medium coverage foundation. If you are looking for a glowy primer to add radiance to your foundation, I think e.l.f. is probably every bit as good as Charlotte Tilbury. Another popular way of using these types of products is to mix them in with a foundation to add radiance to the foundation. So that's exactly what we are going to do today. Now you are going to notice a little bit of a difference in lighting. I am filming this on a different day. Thank goodness, a much cooler day, albeit a little bit cloudier. So again, you are going to notice a little difference in lighting. Anyway, we are going to use my most mattifying full coverage foundation, and this is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Mattifying Long Wear Foundation. I don't use this foundation very often because it is pretty mattifying, but I thought it would be a really good one to mix in with these radiance boosting products to see, in fact, how much radiance these products actually add. So this, I need to give this a good shake. So I am going to mix these together on my hand. I'm going to start with the e.l.f. and I am going to do the best job I can to mix these in with sort of 3 parts foundation to 1 part illuminator. So there is the HD and there is the e.l.f. and I am using shade 3. And let me blend these together on my hand. So that is the foundation blended with the e.l.f. shade 3. And I am going to apply the e.l.f. again to the left side of my face. This is a full coverage foundation, which is usually not my preference. But again, not only will these products add radiance, but it will cut the coverage a little bit, which is a good thing for me. And finish blending with a damp sponge. This is my e.l.f. sponge. So on the left side of my face, we have the Catrice HD Full Coverage Mattifying Foundation with the e.l.f. shade 3. Let's get the Charlotte on the right side of my face. All right, there is the Charlotte, and we will add some of this foundation. Mix them together. e.l.f. on the left, Charlotte Tilbury on the right. I do not detect any difference whatsoever in tint, coverage, or radiance. I think it added a really nice luminosity to this very matte foundation, and I also think it did cut the coverage just a little bit, which I'm super happy with because I really don't prefer a full coverage foundation. So in terms of mixing these 2 products with a foundation, I think they are a very, very close dupe. I'm going to finish up my makeup and then I will come back and we will do the 4th method of application, which is using these products on the high points of my face as a glowy highlighter. Be right back. I am back, full face of makeup on. All the products I have on my face will be listed and linked in the description box below, as always. But now let's put these 2 products to the 4th and final test, and that is as a glowy highlighter on the high points of my face. Now, I did not use any setting or finishing powder over the foundation, and I did use a powder blush. I used my Amazonian Clay powder blush. I didn't want to use a glowy blush. I didn't want to use a cream blush because I really want to see what these 2 cream products do as a highlighter on the high points of my face. So we will take the e.l.f. shade 2 on the left side of the face, and I'm going to try to apply the same amount how I usually apply it. Just a couple of dots, and then the Charlotte shade 2 on the right side of my face. Oops. So let's blend the e.l.f. first, and I usually just use my fingers and tap it in. Blends very, very nicely, and it is giving a really pretty illuminated glow. I'm wiping my fingers off, and let's blend the Charlotte. I hope you can see there is a definite shade difference. The Charlotte is definitely a little bit lighter and brighter and more champagne toned. They blend very, very similarly. What do you think? e.l.f. Charlotte. Let me take a closer look. They're very, very similar. If I'm being super, super picky, I do prefer the lighter, more champagne highlight on the Charlotte side. And I also think it's just ever so slightly more illuminating, more luminizing. I don't know if you're going to pick that up on camera. e.l.f., Charlotte Tilbury. Really, really close. Final thoughts. First, let's talk about the characteristics, and then we'll talk about some of the application techniques. In terms of characteristics, we have shade. The e.l.f. shade range definitely runs deeper and warmer. It is more peachy, almost orangey. In terms of consistency, e.l.f. is thicker and creamier, still blends really, really nicely, but it is a thicker, creamier formula. It also is more pigmented with a little bit more coverage than the Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury is more of a liquidy, sheer formula, and in terms of pearlescence, luminosity, glow, I do feel like the e.l.f. has just a slight amount less pearlescence, less luminosity than the Charlotte Tilbury. Whether any of these very slight differences are going to make a difference to you are going to depend on your skin tone. I don't think e.l.f. is going to work if you have super, super fair skin. And it's also going to depend on how you use these products. So let's talk about application techniques. You know, both of these products can be used all over the face on bare skin to give a luminous glow. I don't use these products that way, but again, if you use these products that way, shade is going to make a big difference as well as coverage. So that is a personal preference. I really can't speak to that, but I do think they looked a little bit different side to side. As far as using these products as a glowy primer under foundation to add radiance to your foundation, or mixed in with foundation again to add radiance to your foundation, I could not detect any difference whatsoever. I feel like the pigment and coverage of the foundation offset any pigment differences in the products, and I really think both products added really pretty radiance and luminosity to both my Sephora Best Skin Ever foundation. And in fact, I have to say, I was about to declutter that Catrice matte foundation because it's just too matte and too full coverage. But by mixing these products in, I was able to sheer it out a little bit, and I think it got a really nice radiant finish. Having said that, I think I would prefer to use the e.l.f. for those application methods, mostly because it's cheaper. You use quite a bit of product when you're using it as a primer or mixing it in with foundation. And again, I could not detect any difference with either of those two application methods. How I have traditionally used my Charlotte Tilbury is as a glowy highlighter on the high points of my cheeks. I have to say I still prefer my Charlotte Tilbury. Part of it is the shade. I really just like the lighter, more cool tone shade. Part of it is the application, and I really do think that the Charlotte just has a little bit more of a glowy, pearlescent luminosity. Bottom line, I have to admit that e.l.f. has come the closest to duping Charlotte Tilbury of any other product that I have tried, and I have tried several over the past few years. I will link all the products that I have tried to dupe the Charlotte Tilbury and some of my thoughts on them, because that's a whole new video. Again, I think I've tried 5 or 6 different products, and e.l.f. definitely comes the closest to duping the Charlotte Tilbury. Is it an exact dupe? I would say no. Once again, it's going to depend on your skin tone, your preferences, and how you use it. But for me, I will be using the e.l.f. as a glowy primer under foundation and to mix into my Catrice, but I will still continue to use my Charlotte Tilbury as a highlighter on the high points of my face. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts. What did you think? Have you tried these products? I love the sharing that goes on in the comment box. I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyable, and if you did, I would love it if you would throw this video a thumbs up. That really helps support my channel, and I very, very much appreciate it. And with all that being said, I hope you have a beautiful day and a wonderful week. I look forward to visiting with you in the comments section, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye. Compared side by side, just alone on skin as a skin, my Charlotte for a glowy highlight. Okay, so far we have used both products as far as using these products as a e.l.f. definitely the shade range,